Next on Worcester News tonight, federal agents making a major drug bust right here in central Massachusetts. We'll have more on the sting involving a deadly chemical. Plus, severe weather moves through Worcester today. We'll have tips from golf pros on how you can stay safe out on the course. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Catherine Rioli. We begin tonight in Northborough, where federal agents seized hundreds of millions of dollars worth of a chemical used to make a powerful drug. To give you an idea of just how big this bust is, federal agents say this amount holds a street value of nearly $600 million. The Northborough Police Department did this sting along with other local police departments and federal agents. This is a photo of what police seized from a storage facility in Northborough. It doesn't look like much, but it's 50 kilos of a chemical used to make fentanyl. And if it were to be made into fentanyl, it would have a street value of $500 million. It's unclear at this point why it was being stored in a facility in Northborough or which one. This is the largest seizure of a fentanyl precursor in recent years. Major news with the opioid epidemic, and a resident we spoke with say he's glad it won't be hitting the streets.
You know, I don't know what happened, but I'm losing a lot of friends. You know, a lot of people are not here. And so anything like this can help.
In the U.S. Attorney's Office not commenting on any arrest tonight or who is behind this. We're continuing to following that developing story. Turning now to the weather, thunderstorms rolling through central Massachusetts today, causing some hazardous conditions. Last year, 38 people were killed by lightning strikes in the U.S., according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Worcester Fire Chief says there are some safety precautions you should take to keep yourself safe during these summer storms.
You want to avoid being outside in a thunderstorm near objects that would attract lightning. Trees and high poles and so on and so forth are what you want to avoid. In that case, we're trying to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position where we'll be struck by the effects of a lightning striking something else. You can certainly be in the vicinity of a lightning strike and still feel the effects of it.
And the fire chief says it's unlikely your house will get struck by lightning in the event of a storm, but it's possible. They say if you think your home has been hit, be sure to check circuit breakers and don't wait to report smoke. Golf season is here after a long stretch of rain, but the start of summer also means the start of many storms. Take a look at the conditions earlier on the golf course at Worcester Country Club, where alarms were sounded alerting golfers to get off the course due to lightning in the area. Pros say many times golfers wait to hear sirens to leave the fairway during a thunderstorm, something that can be very dangerous and put golfers at risk.
You don't have to listen for a siren. If you see or hear lightning, it's okay to come in. You don't have to wait for the siren.
Do you find that a lot of times people just don't come in?
Yes, they're waiting for the siren. Just stay in the car, get close to, we have a lot of fences around here, so you can kind of park near a fence. Do not go under the trees. The trees are kind of a lightning magnet.
So we really pay attention. We don't wait to see thunder or lightning to call them off a golf course. We're watching it really closely. If it's really bad, and you can't get off the golf course, if you're at a place that maybe you're too far away, you don't know where you're going to go straight from your hole somewhere else, you're just going to get to shelter and be safe.
And golf pros say they always keep an eye on the weather and keep golfers off the course in the event of severe weather. Despite the rain, it did clear up later this afternoon. We'll have a look at the forecast coming up later in the show. A family of 4 is recovering Friday after their car was hit by a man police say was driving drunk. The chief says a blood alcohol content of 3 times over the legal limit was found. That man also admitted to coming to the United States illegally. Rosalind Flaherty reports.
Next thing I know, I see
Mike Robidoux was first on scene after a car slammed into another one carrying a young family.
I went behind the car and I stopped there and I said, oh my God, I said, went over to the little girls.
Robidoux says he stayed with the 2 little girls who were in the car until an ambulance arrived.
Those little girls touched my heart. I have a granddaughter, she's 5 years old, and I love my granddaughter to death. So, I mean, those little girls, I was more concerned about the 2 little girls.
Auburn police say 43-year-old Jose Acevedo was driving drunk when his car hit this car carrying the family of 4.
So much so that the officer didn't even do field sobriety tests. When the individual was standing, being questioned by the officer, he fell backwards into the ambulance.
Police Chief Andrew Slucas says Acevedo's blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. Slucas says he later admitted to officers he came to the country illegally, entering through Mexico from El Salvador. He did not have a driver's license. Slucas says Acevedo was also arrested earlier in the day by Worcester police on an outstanding warrant for driving without a license. He was arraigned Friday on charges including operating under the influence, causing serious bodily injury, and operating a vehicle without a license. Acevedo's wife defended her husband outside the courtroom.
He's a hard worker. He's not here to hurt nobody, and he's not here to harm anybody.
Police say 2 adults were injured, and the mother of the girls, ages 3 and 7, suffered a possible broken neck. Robidoux says he's glad he was there to help out.
My heart went out to them family, you know, because that could have been a serious accident. It could have been worse than what it was.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Now to an update on a story we brought you earlier this week. Southborough police have made an arrest in connection with the stolen rowing machines from several CrossFit locations across Massachusetts, working with detectives from Sudbury and Watertown who experienced similar thefts. Southborough police found evidence at the suspect's home in Danvers. 29-year-old James Rooney is now facing charges of felony and larceny. 2 rowing machines from Pennant CrossFit in Southborough were recovered. A stabbing on Plantation Street results in a car crash and an arrest. When officers arrived on scene, they discovered a man covered in blood in a total vehicle. Olivia Lemon has the details.
Right here, right in the front. Came right up the sidewalk, took out the stairs, took out the railing.
Brian Aubin says he heard a loud crash outside of his home Thursday night. He took these pictures of the scene on Plantation Street. Aubin says the driver was covered in blood, but was able to get out of the car.
I think he was in shock because he was trying to push the car off the sidewalk and he's bleeding all over.
Worcester police say the victim's tires were actually slashed by another man, causing his car to lose control.
So he took off this way trying to flee the scene, and then he came up and lost control and came straight into it. The guy was really messed up.
Police say the victim was also stabbed by the man they identify as 28-year-old Jeffrey Polonsky.
After speaking to witnesses, officers believe that Mr. Polonsky had slashed the tires of a male who was at his residence with the permission of another resident. It was not a breaking and entering type of situation.
Police say Polonsky was not happy the victim was at his house.
I heard down the street there was a domestic. The boyfriend come home and found the girlfriend with the other guy.
According to police, the victim was stabbed twice in the neck. He suffered non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to be okay.
Covered with blood. A lot of people stopped.
Polonsky is facing multiple charges, including assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and defacement of property.
Usually it's a quiet neighborhood, and always some excitement somewhere.
Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
The city of Worcester debuting another event for Worcester 100, where 100 events are coming to the Common. And today, a farmers market showcased local food downtown. Cam Jandro was there and has the story.
Set up their stands Friday for the debut of the city's newest farmers market. Honey, veggies, and homemade goods filled the Worcester Common Oval, giving local business owners a unique way to sell their products.
We want everybody to understand how important it is, your product and the time that you take. It's always imperative to get out to the local communities of the cities and be able to get that support.
The market is part of the Worcester 100 campaign and will feature some of the area's locally produced food, meat, and produce. Vendors like Douglas Orchard and Farm say the opportunity to showcase their businesses to a larger base of potential customers is too good to pass up.
This is great to be in the city heartbeat of Worcester, which is actually thriving in a cultural city. I think it's definitely a lot of good things are happening here, and this is the center of it, right here, this Common in front of the Registry of Deeds, City Hall. It's fantastic.
Other than selling goods, the market is also a resource for businesses to gain exposure. Adam Jankowskis is the owner of City Compost, a food scrap collection service. He says it's a great opportunity to educate people on what his organization does for the community.
A lot of folks aren't even aware of compost as a concept, so it's great to be able to educate them on what it is and the value that it has from a growing perspective, and then also the unique aspect and the service that I put together.
Now, vendors from across central Massachusetts will be selling their goods on the Common this summer. If you couldn't make it today, the farmers market will be downtown every Friday until September 29th. In Worcester, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
North Brookfield police captured an amazing sight on camera this week. Take a look at the size of this bee's nest. Police say officers responded to North Main Street for a large swarm of honeybees on a low tree limb. One officer, who is also a beekeeper, put on the proper gear and helped move the swarm into a beehive box. As you can see, he relocated them to a new permanent home. Luckily, no one was stung. Weigh-ins tonight for the DCU Center fights beginning tomorrow. Tonight, boxers weighed in at Worcester's Whiskey on the Water. The fight is expected to bring in many fans and also revenue to the city. Boxers from all over New England and right here in Worcester weighed in before the fight tomorrow. Former championship boxer Jose Rivera is sponsoring the fight. He says it's a great way to bring boxing back to Worcester.
I think it's great for the city of Worcester. I think it's great for the boxing fans. But if they want to see more of it, then the fans got to come out and support. We got some great, exciting fights tomorrow night. If you want a good night out, want some exciting fights, come to the DCU Center and support our show.
It's very exciting. It's in my hometown, the main event in my hometown for the first title shot. It's exciting because I'm going to have my home fans there, and you feel comfortable, way more comfortable than you do somewhere else.